and welcome to Scroll&Quill. Today I have my friends Otanu and Rakibut with me, and we will be talking about satires. So, what is satire to you?
To me, satire is a form of expression that deals with societal issues and things that people should be concerned about in a sarcastic way. I mean, they try to portray whatever they want to talk about in a roundabout way so that it doesn't directly affect anybody or inflict any sort of hatred. Yes. That's the word I'm looking for.
So, as far as my understanding goes, satire is a literary technique which uses a lot of exaggeration and irony to bring awareness, as Raki would say. And most of the times, it uses the kernel of the truth and it pushes it to its limit.
Yeah, so it basically there is a context to it and there's a purpose behind it, and it is exaggerated through the form of, say, irony.
Right.
That is essentially what satire is. And the particular satire we will be seeing today and that we will be comparing today is a modest proposal written by Jonathan Swift. It is an op-ed that was written back in 1729, and do either of you have any form of idea about it, or have you read it or seen anything made from it?
Well, I've seen a short film about it recently, and
on YouTube?
Yes.
YouTube, there's a very nice.
It's a very beautiful short
film.
film.
And
Yeah, I've read the piece written by Jonathan Swift. So it's a beautiful piece of satire, I must admit. So it has themes of cannibalism and dehumanization. So the basic theme of it is that, so in the piece, Jonathan Swift argues that the poor Irish children should be sold to the rich British people as food.
As livestock, as food, yes.
Yeah. So it has themes of dehumanization in the sense that so it explores the theme that the British rulers they used to think of the Irish people as just numbers, not human beings.
And he mirrors that tone, right? He has this detached, this brutal style of tone to it, where he just takes the people as numbers, as just statistics, and just shows how the policymakers really just see the masses as numbers, as just things. How detached they are from reality, or from the reality of the problem, right? And he portrays it very beautifully. Right? And the thing about satire is, and a lot of people were very repulsed by the idea of it. Right. And even now, even when you see the video,
the short film, yes. The short film, if I might add, the way the narrator was speaking throughout the entire short film, it felt like he was saying everything in a matter of fact tone, as if selling your child is the
only solution to it.
Only solution.
It's the obvious solution.
Only solution, and that's how they can earn money. And making food out of it is the only way out of it. And the way there was this part where there was a newborn child, and he was talking about how the taste of the newborn child is the new ones are better than the old ones.
It's the way we talk about meat or like livestock, right?
Yes,
when
the way we talk.
When we're trying to sell stuff on the market, and that is the main part of it. It makes you feel very repulsed, and that is the very core of satire. Right, and over time, satire, the media for satire has changed within the past few centuries. However, the kernel of it, or the core of it, remained the same. Right, we see stuff like TikTok reels and memes in modern times, and the purpose of it is still the same. No, do you guys can think of any memes or TikToks that really made you feel in this way, made you feel repulsed, or made you really think about the problem, like take a step back and really think, oh, I did not think about this, or I never thought about this?
I think one example I can mention is that have you guys seen those Ashton Hall reels where he wakes up at 3 in the morning, then he has a very intense
workout regime?
Yeah. So So it actually makes us think about the hustle culture.
Yeah.
Where
And how we're not really sitting back and we're just constantly moving forward without even taking a breath.
Right. So we are always like so concerned about productivity and stuff, and
the profit and the results.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it makes you think. But a lot of people take those videos as a very serious form of videos.
Yeah.
Right? Take it as like the way life should be.
As if there isn't anything other than that in our life. Like people, they assume that like taking a break or like taking time for yourself is unnecessary, and how doing that would make you less productive.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things about how people very often really misinterpret these memes and these reels, right?
Yes.
The content creators might say something very sarcastically, maybe say that. I don't know if you guys saw those reels about about the current economic state. Work 5 jobs and rent a bathroom to live in. That is what it should be, the deadpan way that they say it. And a lot of people take it very seriously.
Yes.
That is sarcastic. That just shows of how messed up our economy has become, right? 5 jobs cannot even afford a proper living nowadays.
Yes.
Right. I think one other example that I can mention about misinterpretation thing. So have you guys seen Fight Club?
Yes.
Well, I'm violent.
I was gonna say the first rule of Fight Club: we do not talk about Fight Club.
Yeah. So the original theme of Fight Club was to sort of mock the toxic masculinity and
the alpha male style.
Yeah, the alpha male culture. But I've seen that a lot of people really misinterpreted the
theme of it or
exactly.
The meaning behind it.
Right. So a lot of people inherited the toxic masculinity traits after watching Fight Club, whereas you're supposed to do exactly the opposite.
Yeah, and that's the thing about TikToks and memes, is that back then. Okay, we are back after some technical errors. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about Fight Club, which we shouldn't be talking about. But we can continue about
the hustle culture and how people really misinterpret memes, right?
Yes.
And the thing about that is that back then, Jonathan Swift, he had paragraphs, he had a whole page to write things about, and he expected people to have the intellectual kind of mindset to understand it. But people nowadays, they really have just a few seconds or just one picture to it, right? And it's very easy to misinterpret these things.
I think it has something to do with our attention spans. For example, like when you are watching a TikTok or a YouTube Shorts or whatever, so you're watching it for what, 10-15 seconds, or when you are watching a meme, you are watching it for 5 to 10 seconds. So we have a very short span of time to actually think about what that media is trying to convey to us. So I think that might be an element to misinterpret.
I would like to add, the thing is that before people used to actually think about stuff, and now they basically have the attention span of a goldfish.
Yes,
right? They don't even care what they're seeing. They're like, oh, it's like that, and they continue.
Yeah, and that leads to a lot of people taking it very seriously, like the hustle culture that I was talking about. But there is also the very opposite side of it, the cancel culture, where people misunderstand it and they might completely miss the point and just completely cancel the creator for it, even if that was not the original creator's intention. Right? We see so many people getting cancelled over very silly matters, which is not supposed to be the case, but too many people just don't understand it, misinterpret it, and they just think of it the way they want to think of it. And a lot of times that just creates this movement, right, of cancelling it. That's the thing about mob, by the way, right?
The
digital mob of it, right?
The mob culture.
The mob culture of it, the digital mob culture of it, that you can support something so much that it becomes a trend, or if you can completely cancel it.
Yes.
And it's just a flip of one. Right?
Yes, right.
And that is that. But there's also another fact that understanding memes and understanding TikToks require a certain amount of fluency in digital humor, right?
Right.
And a lot of cases, there's this generational gap, like people of the older generation or anyone who's not really used to technology, who's not really up to date with the current situations or the pop cultures, they might struggle to really understand reels and memes, even if they know it's a satire.
I would like to add to this. Recently, I saw this video of a linguistic professor giving a lecture to kids who are in high school. So, as we know that the kids who are currently in high school, they're from Gen Alpha, and we are from Gen
Z. It's just a one
so
generation.
Yes, it's just a single generation gap, right? So he was giving this lecture. He before he started the lecture, he wanted to actually connect with the people. So what he did was he did months of research on the different slangs that they use, like skibidi-rees and whatever, which honestly I didn't know until a couple of my friends actually told me about it. I didn't know about it. Even the word skibidi, I didn't know it actually existed until a student of mine told me that this is the word and this is what it actually means.
Yeah, it's the same way as
Yes.
we use the word cool, or we use like there are lingos to every
That-
generation.
yes,
there are
yes.
lingos to every generation.
Yes.
We use a lot of things. We use the things of like support, or there are certain ways we let's say dilute.
Yes.
Dilute is one of the words that we
Yeah.
use so commonly, right? It's
That-
one
that
of the
is-
core parts of our generation.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't think anyone who is even familiar with the English language would really look at the word and think of delusional.
Exactly.
Right? So that also leads to a lot of misinterpretation
Exactly.
of memes and of reels or even parodies. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
So
And this generational gap really kind of detaches people from these, or stops people from really enjoying or really thinking about this satire.
exactly.
Right?
I think the issue of generational gap can be generalized to having a lack of context, so to speak. So
Yes, we could say that. Yes.
Yeah.
That is
The lack of
basically-
context is one of the main reasons. So that boils down to not just generation. I think if someone is not up to date with the current situations, they will face the same, or is not up to date with pop culture, will also
Right.
struggle in this very similar manner, even if they're from the same generation. right?
Exactly.
If someone is homeschooled and has had no access to technology, they would struggle with memes and reels the same way as someone from the older generation would.
Right,
And at least that's what I think, right?
No, that actually happens.
And a lot of times these memes are misinterpreted into like completely different manners, right? There's the fact of the girl dinner or like okay boomers, how it becomes a slang even though it was originally not intended as such.
And it becomes an offensive slang at that.
It becomes offensive. And like the okay boomer one is completely an offensive slang now, even though it was originally supposed to be this sarcastic reply to like the older people not really understanding technology. And
Yeah.
it wasn't supposed to be insulting at all.
mhm.
But now
It was
every time
more
you
of
say it,
Yeah.
harmless fun.
It was-
But
it was
now
fun.
it's a very offensive thing to say.
offensive. Yeah, it's said it's said in such a negative connotation.
Mhm.
It has such a negative connotation that you can really not use it in its original way ever
Anymore.
again.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So that is the thing about memes and TikToks being misinterpreted. But there's also the fact of them being censored. Right? Back in the day, the monarch or the ruler were the people who really censored it, right? They banned it from being published, they banned people from having the books or the write-ups, but nowadays censorship is very different from those times, right? There's the fact of monetization and demonetization, there's the fact of algorithms,
Algorithm. Yeah.
right?
So about that, one thing I can mention is that so a few days earlier I've seen that so on Twitter it's not Twitter
X.
anymore, it's now X.
X.
So on X someone posted a meme which was flagged as misinformation by Twitter's fact-checking algorithm. So I feel like there's a very fine line that content creators have to walk through. You have to be obvious enough to be understood, but at the same time you have to be subtle enough to be clever.
Yeah, I saw a similar way in Threads as well. That somebody had corrected some very formal notice of some government, and it was just a correction of it. It was very clearly stated that I read it, and these are the mistakes I found, and these are the mistakes I have highlighted. It was very clear in the caption, and they were making fun of the fact that it was not something official was grammatically incorrect. However, it was flagged as misinformation. Anyone who read the paper would realize it is not misinformation. It's very clearly stated. It is its own purpose and its intention. But the algorithms really do not understand this form of exaggeration or this form of sarcasm. Even if things like hashtags and emojis are used, right? Back then, Swift assumed that people had the intellectuality to kind of really understand the fact that what he wrote is a form of satire, that it is supposed to make people aware of something. And nowadays, content creators do a similar thing with hashtags, like hashtag skate or hashtag satire, hashtag meme, so that we understand it's not that serious. It's harmless, or not necessarily harmless. It's not supposed to be taken literally, right? But people still take it very literally.
Yes.
People still fail to do it, and algorithms fail to really understand whether it is supposed to be serious, whether it is actual information, or it is just like a form of mockery, right? Parody. That reminds me of those times when we were doing the protest. People were making like those deadpan videos of the newspaper reporters, right? The news reporters. Yeah. How they were really mimicking them.
Well, the best example is the title about like Pata Bhi Lebu.
We were using the Bengali title of it, right? And a lot of people were making wall arts or memes of it, right? Using the logo and replacing it, and making fun of it, right? But in a lot of those videos, people really did not understand that somebody was making fun of it. A lot of people took those videos very seriously because of that deadpan style of satire that a lot of content creators do use nowadays, right?
Yes, that is a very common way of talking in a sarcastic tone nowadays, because in that way people would just assume you're serious, but then again you're not actually serious.
It boils back into the modest proposal as well, right? It's said in such a serious way that people assume that this is what you mean.
Swift actually wrote a modest proposal in such an argumentative way. So it feels like he is very he
actually cares about it.
No, it feels more like he backs the proposal with numbers, like actual numbers, the way you would back a proposal for say, I don't know, ones that would submit for like official
community, exactly, for the betterment of community.
And he says it in such a very serious way. People would assume first, if you read it first, and you would just think, oh, he actually means it. and that tone still stands. And it's funny that even after 300 years, that style of satire still exists. The media is very different, but the satire still exists. So let's talk about how memes really affect our culture nowadays. Like how satire still is a very relevant point of protests or a relevant point of awareness. If we're talking about the protests that we were the July protests of last year, right? Memes and satires were one of the most common forms of communication.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I think the thing with memes is that they are very bite-sized and they are very, very concise, and that's why I think memes are very impactful.
And they're easy to make. You don't really need fancy pictures. You could draw a stick figure and people would still understand if you're in tune with the modern day.
I think the main reason that was mostly used is because of the censorship. And also the fact that people who were actually making posts about something, they weren't getting much reach. But if they were making if they were making it as a joke or in a sarcastic tone, those things were getting a lot of reach.
But there's the fact about reach that a lot of content creators stop making satires because the algorithms stop them from reaching or stop them from getting into mainstream content. because they are flagged as we just talked about. They're flagged as misinformation. A lot of, because even if they're for content creators, this is their job. This is their source of
way to earn money.
Yeah, this is their way of money, and a lot of content creators kind of give this form of humor, give this form of entertainment up because of the censorship. And it's not just the algorithms or the monetization and demonetization of it. There's also the fact that brands completely oftentimes miss the point of a meme or miss the point of a trend and just go off in a tangent that is not even related to this, right? And then they start selling off their products, and then they start posting about their items, and a lot of people make fun of it, but a lot of people take it very seriously again, right? There's a lot of the restaurants in Dhaka, right, use this style of digital marketing.
Exactly.
A lot of brands use it as well, not just
if I could add on to that, recently Mercedes-Benz Bangladesh, they paid a lot of female content creators and influencers around Bangladesh.
For the roadshow that they were having.
Yes. For the roadshow that recently happened. The content creators, they basically went there, took pictures, and then uploaded into their profile, right? So what happened is that they weren't selling the car; they were basically selling the image of, like, if you buy this car, you're gonna get girls, and that is a very disturbing way of
boils
making
back to
a
the Fight Club thing, right?
Exactly,
the alpha male culture of it, and how originally the whole meme of that, or the whole style of this reel was to mock the alpha males, right?
To prevent it from happening, but they're using it to make it happen.
How a lot of men think of girls as just quote unquote gold diggers or objects, right? And now people are monetizing it. Brands are using this idea. That's exactly what I was talking about. That brands completely miss the point and then try to use it to kind of relate to the masses, to relate to the younger generation, and very often they actually fail completely, and it goes in the opposite direction, right? So any other problems that you can think of that, or any other benefits or plus points that you can think of that memes really bring in to our kind of modern culture through satire?
Well, as I was saying, memes are very concise and they're easy to make and relatable, and which is why it's very participatory, and this participatory nature of memes make it more impactful. So memes are
like miniature Swift essays, right?
Yeah, we can say that.
They're like a small chunk of the essay.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time we have this risk of misunderstanding or misinterpretation. And what I was saying about algorithms, so I think understanding humor or understanding satire is a very core humane thing to do, which the algorithms or the AIs don't really have. So which is why they might flag satire pieces as misinformations.
Yeah, and we as humans, and then we are prevented from really seeing these memes. We are prevented from getting the awareness that they would have brought if we had the chance to see them in the way that they were originally intended.
Portrayed.
Right? They were supposed to be portrayed. And that's the thing about a good satire too, right? It's supposed to make you feel something. It's supposed to make you think. And memes do that very often. Like, you scroll and you see something and you sit back and think that, oh my god, that was a dark joke. But then you think, it's a dark joke, but that is what happens. There's a reality behind it, right?
Yeah, but you have to take the time and think about it.
Yeah, it forces you to reckon, right? It forces reckoning. That is
the thing about the modern way of portraying satire is most people do not see it the way it is portrayed. as in like I said, like he said that it's bite size. It takes 5 seconds or something like that. But the thing is, the modern generations or people in general recently have has reduced attention spans, like basically the attention span of a goldfish. So what happens is they see something and before they think about it, they just scroll down.
But that is, I think, where trends come into play, right? That is why the style of content constantly keeps changing. Right?
Exactly.
When we bring in the new styles, we talked about the deadpan style, right? But there's also the fact of people talking in a very childlike or very dumb way. It sounds bad, but in a dumb way. I don't know if you guys ever saw that one girl on TikTok where she explains modern law issues, lawyer terms or certain laws that exist through fashion. She explains it through fashion. So she loves fashion. She's a lawyer, and she explains it in a way that people would think of like buying clothes and selling off clothes and which style of clothes that we would be wearing, and it relates it to it, right? So this is another way of bringing awareness to the problems, like condensing it down into simpler terms, and these trends are constantly changing.
Yes, right.
And that is how we are keeping the attention span of the goldfish.
Yeah,
Right.
so basically, like you said, that people are making it easier to understand, or if I say it in layman's term, dumbing it down.
Dumbing it down.
Exactly. So even if it's dumbed down, but thing is that people still don't try to think about it. That is one of the main reasons why it's very commonly misinterpreted, and people think of it to be think of something to be totally different from what it's being intended to be.
Yeah,
So.
but then again, there is the other side of it, that a lot of people get to know about the modern problems or the current situation
Exactly.
through TikToks and memes.
Yes.
And a lot of them search up the details of it later once they see the memes.
Yes.
Like there are multiple times where I've seen a meme and I was like, wait, when did this happen? What happened? Let me go and search it up on Google. Like I did not know this happened. So that still does have the purpose, right? It is bringing an awareness. It is making me think. It is making me go and find the original news article or the original issue of
material.
it, or the material of it, right? And that is, in the end of the day, what satire is. Right?
Exactly. It should make us think. It should make us.
It's not just about laughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is about awareness. It is about protest. It is in the day a form of protest, right?
It is.
It is a form of protest, and if there's something we've seen our generation truly loves, protesting in any form of way possible, be it digital or be it physically up there, right? So that is, I think, all for today, right? Is there anything else you guys want to add on to about satires and how it has really evolved over the ages? Anything?
I don't think there is.
I think we didn't talk enough about Jonathan Swift himself, right? I feel like he himself, it's not just about his proposal that was a satire. I don't know if I'm sure you guys both know him from Gulliver's Travels, right?
Yes.
That is also another piece of satire that I think is very underrated and people don't really understand its true.
Honestly, I didn't know it was a satire
True
until
essence.
like a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, so Gulliver's Travels is also one of those, right? So I think since we're talking about these problems are not just modern problems in the sense that the media changed and that's why we're facing these problems. They have always existed, but in different shapes, in different
And
styles
different
of it,
forms,
Exactly.
in different forms, and I think it will still exist, and it's up to us
Well,
to sort of.
It's like there is this meme which we all know: modern problems require modern
Modern
solutions,
solutions.
right? So there were problems like this, like since centuries ago, like since the dawn of time, there has been a lot of problems, and they have been dealt with, but they had evolved into something else, which needs to be dealt with the like things present to them at their time, right?
That's the thing. John Smith took up a quill because that is the way to communicate. That was the way to kind
that
of
was the
reach
only
the
way
masses.
to do it during that time.
During that time, and we pick up a camera because that is exactly
the
how
way we can do it now.
reach the masses now, right?
Yeah.
And that is the thing about satires, and that is the thing about these forms of content, that it's not just laughter. It's not just because it's trendy we do it. It is because there is a certain purpose behind it. There is a certain context to it, and it is a mirror of reality.
Exactly.
Right? It is in the end a mirror of reality, and
But a funny mirror though.
and what we see in the mirror might make us uncomfortable, but end of the day, I mean, it's my face. It's all of our face. It's our reality.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the whole point, right?
That is the whole point.
That is the
right?
whole point to it.
And that is the whole point. So I think that is it for today, and I hope you all enjoyed what we discussed, and hopefully we'll have more to add on to it.